let's go through the process of configuring an NPM series system together.
For this video series, let's assume that we're setting up a fairly typical restaurant scenario. This one's called Patrick's Diner.
That place is going to get shut down.
With several different BGM and video sources that feed a host of different zones throughout the building, and several different staff members who need access to the system.
Let's start with some initial setup procedures, followed by configuring the inputs. We'll be using an NPM 80, but if you have an NPM 40, the process is identical. You'll just see fewer inputs and outputs.
One of the cooler things about the NPM series is that you can do a lot of the initial setup before you get on the job site and before you get your hands on the mixer. It lets you do a lot of the pre-work so that you can focus on fine-tuning while you're on the job site. All you need is the general plans for the inputs and the outputs.
Just to make sure we're all using the same terminology, a source consists of an audio device and the NPM input channel that it's connected to. An output is used to feed audio to the geographical zones of your facility.
The best place to start is your trusty setup wizard. It suggests that your first stop is to load a configuration file. If this is your first installation, you probably won't have a configuration file to load, but if you do, you can understand why this is step one. If this is your 14th identical Patrick's Diner, you might as well just save yourself the time by just loading the config file from the last one.
You can get to this page by pressing the Load Configuration button. But don't forget, all these wizard buttons are simply shortcuts. The standard way to get to the configuration screen is to go to the menu and then select the first button, Configurations. Regarding configurations, you probably fall under one of three categories. 1. Starting fresh. If you're not using an existing configuration to start from, then you don't need to load anything. But we do recommend giving your configuration a name and saving it. 2. Basing a config on a previous config. In this case, select your configuration file from either the device where you're running np install, the internal memory of your mixer, or an external USB drive, and then select Recall. We highly recommend that you now give your configuration a new name and use the Save As button to keep this separate from your original file. 3. Continuing work. If you've been given a config file from a colleague that still needs some work, you can actually double-click that file from your device browser, and it will automatically launch np install and import that configuration ready for editing. Back in the setup wizard, let's check off that we've done this step.
The next step is to name and link your inputs with a shortcut called Input Configuration. This will jump us to the Setup tabs for our inputs.
Here you can change the channel's name, whether or not it receives phantom power, and whether this is part of a paired stereo link with a second channel. If you engage this button, an odd channel will always link with the even channel above it, or vice versa. So channels 1 and 2 can be linked, for instance, and 3 and 4 can be linked, but you can't link 2 and 3, or 3 and 8.
Let's name a few of those now. We know that we have a few channels from our music content provider, one for the main dining area, and one specifically for the restrooms. And both of these, by the way, are in stereo. The names you define here are going to carry forward to appear on the MFC controllers and the NP Manage app, which is why it's so important to do this first and do it right to keep all your inputs clear as you move forward. You'll notice that we proceed to the next channel with the Next button. We also have a paging microphone for the reception area, a jukebox, because, you know, Patrick's Diner's cool like that. We also have a few different cable boxes for the bar, and an audio wall plate for the private room.
If you're not sure which channel you're working on, just look at this channel strip here. This represents your channel's current state in the mixer. You can see its name, volume, and settings the same way you'd expect to see it on a physical mixer.
If you wanted to navigate to this screen without the wizard, all you have to do is select Inputs from the main navigation bar, and then select the Setup Gear icon for whichever channel you want to adjust. In fact, you'll notice at the top of this page that this setup page is just one of 6 total pages that are used to configure the channel. These are the same icons that you'll see on the master input screens: Setup, Overview, Presets, PEQ, Dynamics, and Gate. We'll get back to these other 5 pages in just a bit, but for now we just care about setting up the bare minimum for each channel.
Make sure you proceed through each of our inputs until they're all named, powered, and linked to your satisfaction. While we're talking about inputs, let's navigate to the input screen and click More, and take a look at the onboard USB audio player. This media player can play MP3 files that are connected to your MPM on a hard drive or a portable drive via one of its USB ports. It has pretty standard playback controls, with the ability to play through your list normally, in shuffle mode, or to play a single track. This is a great way to play test audio tracks if you don't have your real audio content handy. This USB player is available as a source for every output, as well as the onboard mixing function. If you'd like to rename it, you can do so on the setup page.
Now that we've finished with all the inputs, we can return to the setup wizard and check that off our list.
We'll move on to output configuration in the next video. Feel free to take a break and move on when you're ready.